Hello everyone, thank you for tuning into Vidiot Entertainment Studios for this episode of Vidiot Movie Reviews. I'm the nerd Lust Daddy, and today we continue our series reviewing every North American live-action video game film adaptation theatrical release. And for this week's review, we continue on the Paul W.S. Anderson train as we take a look at 2007's Resident Evil Extinction.
Chit, futter, do these things ever stop coming?
It would seem not, Pidds. Come to find out, he's got his fingers deep in the video game film adaptation pie. So let's jump in and see where the train takes us this time. Now, Extinction was released in North American theaters on September 21st, 2007. Up to this point, 14 games have been released in the series. Resident Evil, Resident Evil 2, Resident Evil 3 Nemesis, Resident Evil Survivor, Resident Evil Code Veronica, Resident Evil Survivor 2 Code Veronica, Resident Evil Gaiden, Resident Evil the GameCube remake, Resident Evil 0, Resident Evil Dead Aim, Resident Evil Outbreak, Resident Evil Outbreak File 2, Resident Evil 4, and Resident Evil Deadly Silence. Now we're going to use the entire game series up to this point as a simple barometer, but in no way a direct comparison. The reason for this is that, and you'll see for yourself once we discuss the film further, this series has basically jumped the tracks and has very little in common with the games other than bare bones, little to no effort representations of the universe.
I knew this thing was gonna derail eventually.
Chop hits. Let's get into it and see if it's at least somewhat similar and hopefully mildly entertaining. Now you all know the drill now in regards to the plot of the game series, so we won't spend too much time here. As it is based on viewing the film and researching the games up to this point, this film doesn't even slightly pull plot elements from any of the games, so it's best to just gloss over the plot of the game series. Now in it, a corporation named Umbrella is one of the most dominant corporations on the planet, and they supply goods and services to a majority of the world. Secretly though, they have a science research division that works on developing bioweapons, and they eventually develop a virus that can bring the dead back to life and even mutate living creatures into abominations with extraordinary strength and abilities. And they plan to use this virus for bioweapon research and creation to sell to the highest bidder. They of course thought that they could contain it, but the virus eventually breaks free and begins to spread out of control throughout the world. Along the way, we're introduced to many recurring protagonists who attempt to stop Umbrella's evil plans and have their own motivations for involvement, such as Leon S. Kennedy, Claire Redfield, and Jill Valentine, to name a few. The plot for this film here picks up about 5 years after the events of Resident Evil Apocalypse. The T-virus is spread worldwide, devastating the human population, as well as destroying most of the world's environment. And Alice is wandering the desert wastelands of the western United States, where she comes across an abandoned gas station that she explores. Now inside, she finds a journal that speaks of radio transmissions that have been broadcasting messages seemingly from Alaska that infer there is a safe place there that remains uninfected. At the same time, a convoy of survivors are being led by Claire Redfield, as well as returning characters Carlos Oliveira and LJ Wade from the previous film. Now, they're running across the country searching for supplies and safe sanctuaries, and while doing this, Alice eventually magically runs into the group and, using her newfound telekinesis, saves them from a massive flock of crows that are infected with the virus due to eating necrotic flesh. After awakening due to passing out from the strain of using her telekinesis, Alice shows the journal to the group and tells them of the rumored safe haven in Alaska. All the while, Umbrella scientist Dr. Isaacs is working on a way to domesticate zombies by giving them back basic human intelligence and reasoning. His attempts fail and end up creating a new breed of zombies that is more aggressive and has a stronger and more aggressive version of the virus that they pass on to those they infect. Furthermore, Alice's repeated use of her telekinesis has been picked up by the AI, the White Queen, who has informed Dr. Isaacs of locating Alice. He then begins to defy Umbrella's orders in regards to the focus of his experiments, as well as being ordered to not seek out Alice. Isaacs devises a plan to use the new breed of zombies to his advantage and sets out to locate Alice in order to further his research. Alright, so we've completely jumped the rails plot-wise here. I wasn't able to find a single game up to this point that this film even pulled and altered plot points from. We're now in uncharted and unrestrained territory, and I only expect that this will continue from here on out with the following sequels. But does this plot at least seem as if it fits within the Resident Evil universe? Sure, it's passable enough. Evil Corporation creates bioweapons that start a zombie holocaust. We even get some characters from the games, even if their motivations from them don't align, and they are here mostly as weak fan service, just to name drop and say, see, we're a Resident Evil movie. I wasn't totally uninterested in the plot of the movie, and some of the directions I think it is going to take are at least entertaining in a batshit crazy kind of way. At best, I can give this a passing hawoo. Pidds, your thoughts on the plot?
Hawoo.
Alright, do we get some good setting and world representation? We got a post-apocalyptic setting, we get plenty of zombies, we get some zombie dog action. For the first time, we get to see the game series' classic minor enemy, crows, in this film. Hell, we even get to see a tyrant in this movie. Now, the setting and cinematography feel quite accurate, and the special effects for the monsters is actually pretty damn good throughout the majority of the film. You can really see the improvement between the way the monsters look in the first film compared to in this one. I really can't find fault here, so setting and representation gets a solid hawoo from me. Pidds, your thoughts?
Hawoo.
Alright, let's keep the characters focused on the main ones as well as ones represented by well-known stars. Let's start off with Nurse Betty. Played by Ashanti, the platinum-selling, Grammy Award-winning music artist, here she plays the nurse to the convoy led by Claire. I gotta be honest here, this character's pointless. She has no character development, isn't around very long, serves mainly as a sexual interest to LJ, and she has the stupidest death in the movie due to unnecessarily sacrificing herself during the crow attack scene. Absolute waste of an artist's talent and screen time. This one's a chit futter. Hit.
Chit futter.
LJ Wade. Portrayed again by Mike Epps, a comedian known for his roles in films such as Next Friday and Friday After Next. Here, he has stuck with Carlos and joined up with the convoy. In a review of the previous film, I mentioned that he unfortunately didn't fit in, and it was pretty obvious that he'd been brought in to be nothing more than comic relief, which is the type of character that doesn't really fit into the Resident Evil universe. Here, they toss that characterization out the window. In fact, they make him a selfish asshole that becomes a liability to the group by hiding the fact that he gets bitten. Really, he is pointless and does nothing for the movie except create a surprise danger for another character when he turns. Otherwise, he doesn't contribute to this film in any meaningful way, and even that contribution is unnecessary. LJ's a straight chit futter for me. Pidds, what did you think of LJ?
Chit futter.
Carlos Oliveira, played again by Oded Fehr of The Mummy and The Mummy Returns fame. Here he's the ex-Umbrella Special Forces officer who has joined up with a caravan in Alice's absence. I still really like this character. The interpretation is of a strong, confident, and skilled warrior who still has a heart of gold and now fights for what's right. Definite hawoo for me. Pidds, your insight on Carlos.
Hawoo.
Claire Redfield, portrayed by Ellie Larder, known for her roles in Varsity Blues, the first two Final Destination films, and the television series Heroes. Here, she's the leader of the caravan wandering the desert and fighting to survive. While her acting is good, I'm not hot on this interpretation. It's so far off from the character in the video games, it's almost insulting. There is no mention of her background, her brother, or her motivations for trying to find him. She just exists in this film as a name drop to connect it to the game series. This one's a chit futter for me. Pidds, thoughts on Claire?
Chit futter.
Dr. Alexander Isaacs, played by Ian Glenn. Now, you may recognize him from his role in a previous movie we reviewed as Manfred Powell in Lara Croft Tomb Raider, as well as his role as Ser Jorah Mormont on Game of Thrones. Here he plays the head scientist for Umbrella that is working on finding a way to cure the virus, as well as being obsessed with finding Alice in order to further his research. I really enjoyed the portrayal here as the mad scientist who is willing to do anything at any cost to further his research, even going against the orders from Umbrella, and being willing to sacrifice human lives to reach his end goal. It really fits well into the world setting, and Glenn's performance is delicious. I can certainly give him a hawoo. Pidds, what did you think?
Hawoo.
Atlas, portrayed by Mila Jovovich of The Fifth Element fame, as well as every single damn Paul W.S. Anderson Resident Evil film ever made. Here she continues her film series original role as Alice, the one-time test subject of Umbrellas, who now fights to try and stop their plans, as well as hopefully finding a cure for the virus. I enjoy the portrayal, and it actually seems to get stronger with each entry in this film series. She's a courageous and skillful survivor and fighter who's determined to stop Umbrella. Even though her abilities start going off the tracks in this film by heavily introducing telekinesis, I think I'm still on board to see what insanity happens next with this character. I can give her a hawoo. Pidds, what do you think of Alice?
Hawoo!
Alright, let's get down to our final verdicts. There were some questionable things that happened in this movie, like the stupid death of Nurse Betty, the introduction of telekinesis into the universe, and the fact that this film is the clear stepping off point where the series has just jumped the tracks and basically has abandoned any direct similarity to the games, except in using names from the series as fan service. Let's see what the Pidds thinks first. Pidds, what did you think of the film?
Hawoo!
I agree, this is another average film. While it doesn't follow the games closely at all, it still does have some appeal though, and recovers its likability through the action scenes and special effects. As I previously mentioned in a past review, these really feel like big-budget B-horror zombie movies, and the plot is starting to go off the rails in one of those it's so batshit it's good kind of ways that has me intrigued and able to enjoy them. I can give this one a 5Zs out of 10Zs. Check this one out if you like B-horror movies, zombie movies, and are a fan of so bad it's good insane plots, which you probably are if you like B-horror movies. Just be aware that if you're a Resident Evil fan, these films pretty much from this point on are similar in naming conventions and the monsters found within it alone, as they pretty much just do their own thing now. The Pidds and I want to thank you all for once again tuning in to Vidiot Entertainment Studios for this episode of Vidiot Movie Reviews. If you enjoyed our video, please be sure to comment, like, subscribe, and share to show your support. And don't forget to also check us out and subscribe on Twitch, as well as follow us on Twitter. Until next time, I'm the Nerd Lust Daddy, as always, reminding you to not be chit futters to each other. Body autonomy for all, reproductive rights for women, and peace, love, and happiness to all. Take us home, Pidds.
Thank yous for watching, everybody. Bye-bye for now.